Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast, the podcast where the dogs are the stars of the show. Welcome to episode 34 of the Relaxed Dog Podcast, brought to you by therelaxeddog.com. Thank you for listening and finding this podcast. I am your host, Robert Ober, and I hope that you and your dog are well. This week, my guest is Sheryle Green, and we'll be learning all about Akasha. But first, in a slightly delayed, I can't believe my dog ate poll, the most popular October poll was Penny, who enjoyed having about 21 remote controls. So the polls are open for November. And just a reminder, we had Zena, who consumed a whole chicken. We had Theodore, who interrupted a Zoom meeting showing everyone that he had a rat and consumed that. We had Barchi, who didn't like flies, but was brave enough to catch one and eat one. And we had Deef, who is a good boy and shared some bacon and eggs. In this week's doggy news, a dog walks into a bar. Actually, you've probably heard that one. But a dog walked into the Odessa Police Department in Texas and sort of like put his paws up on the front counter to say hello. The officers then engaged with the dog, found he didn't have a collar. He was very friendly. They played with him. They enjoyed the attention. They were in the process of getting a animal control officer there with a microchip reader. And then the dog wandered off. The officers then were a little bit concerned, but were put at ease the next day when Chico and his owners came around, and apparently he only lives about a mile away from the station. So he was just out for a stroll and apparently just popped in to say hello to the police and engage in a little bit of fun. Also in the US, in Nevada County, California, a gentleman by the name of Caleb Benham was alerted to some strange noise on his property. On investigation, he went over and saw his 90-pound dog, Buddy, being dragged away by a bear. The bear actually had Buddy's head in his mouth. So what did Caleb do? Immediately charged, ran at the bear, tackled the bear and started punching it in the face and in the eyes until it let go, which thankfully it did before running away. Caleb is all right, and Buddy was rushed to hospital, and after having some staples and tubes put in, he was allowed to go home to recover. So lucky escape to Buddy, and wow, applause to Caleb. And just another great example of what people do for their dogs without a moment's hesitation. And now, this week's interview. Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Sheryle Green. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited as well. Always great having a chat with someone about their awesome dogs. So, who are we going to have a chat about today?
We are going to talk about Akasha. She is my almost 16-year-old beagle lab mix, and I've had her since she was a year old.
So 16, nice.
Yeah.
As per usual, I'm going to ask you to take us back just to a space in time just before you guys met and talk to us about the how and why you got together.
Yeah, so I was married at the time. We had gotten married in October and decided that it was time to get a dog. And March rolled around and we decided we were definitely ready. We went to North Shore Animal League, which is in New York. And I started looking. We didn't know, we didn't have a breed in mind. We really just knew we wanted to bond. And we actually pulled a different dog at first to kind of play with and sit with. And he was terrified. He was hiding under the bench. He wouldn't come near my husband or I. And as sad as it was to put the dog back, we knew it was a no-kill shelter and he'd eventually find the right family. But we wanted a dog that was comfortable with us right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And then we saw this little yellow lab, like mini yellow lab looking creature. And I think her name was like Layla or something when we got her. And she was super friendly right off the bat. And we both fell in love. It was the first time I'd ever had a dog of my own, not like the family dog. Mm-hmm. And she was just the sweetest little thing from day one. But she'd already had puppies at a year old. Mm-hmm. She'd already had puppies. I don't know why anybody would have given this dog up, but they did. And I'm glad they did.
Sometimes things are just meant to be.
Yes.
So how was the initial few sort of weeks when you took her home?
It was interesting. She definitely trained us to be cleaner people, or neater, I should say, neater people. And she was having no part of being like corralled in a certain area of the house. I remember we put up a baby gate. We had this long hallway and we put up this baby gate so she would stay in the hallway and not, run around the living room when we weren't home. And the first day I came home, baby gate was knocked over and she was sitting on the couch. Second day, we put like those big, 5-gallon water jugs. Mm-hmm. We put 2 of them in front of the baby gate. So we came home, she had moved the gate enough that she could get out and she was sitting on the couch. And then the third day, we put four of these giant water jugs, 2 on either side of the gate. And she jumped over the gate and was sitting on the couch. So it was like, okay, now you get free reign of the house.
I think she's claimed a spot already.
She did. And we had 2 couches at the time and kind of decided that one would be the human couch. So if guests came over and didn't want to get fur on them, they could sit there. And then one would be her couch and our cuddle couch. Okay. And we had a blanket on that one.
So who chose which couch?
She did. She did. Yeah. It took a few days of us yelling at her to get off the other couch. She ran into the other room, grabbed a blanket in her teeth, dragged it into the living room, and jumped up on that couch and sat on the blanket. And it was like,
nice.
Dog just outsmarted us. Fantastic. So, at that point, it was just like, if you don't want to be covered in dog fur, don't come over.
I think that's a fairly common thing with most dog owners. And
oh, yeah.
If you know you're going to visit someone. So initial sleeping arrangements?
I was actually the one that said I didn't want her sleeping in the bed with us. I wanted that to be just for us. But she would sleep on the couch. She had a nice comfy area. But every morning I would find myself waking up earlier and earlier to go sleep on the couch with her and get some cuddles in before I had to go to work. And then one night there was like a thunderstorm and she was totally fine with it. But I was like, she's terrified. She has to come into bed with us. And she never left her side after that.
Nice. So were there any sort of like teething problems when she sort of like the first few weeks or months when she came into the house?
Okay, let's see. So in over the course of her lifetime, not just the first couple of weeks, she ate a banana holder. She ate a book. She ate my entire DVD collection. She ate a bottle of Metamucil, the fiber supplement, from Costco. So like the really big bottle. She never went after shoes, I don't think. Probably some clothing.
I usually wait till towards the end of the interview, but I'll ask you now to complete the sentence if there is something that you haven't said already yet. That I can't believe my dog ate.
A mattress.
Oh, so a mattress?
Yes. We went to stay with some friends, and they had a very large dog that the two of them did not get along with each other. So we had to keep her in the bedroom when we went out. And I got the phone call that every parent dreads. Sheryl, we need to talk about Akasha. And it turned out that in a fit of frustration, she ate the mattress.
Oh, no.
It looked like it had been through a shark attack.
Was that a vet trip or?
Not that time.
Not that time.
Oh, no. Okay, hold on. There's so many ways you can answer this question. She did eat 2 bars of dark chocolate. That was a vet trip.
Yes, definitely.
The Metamucil was just a phone call to the vet where he laughed at me and said, "Don't worry, this will literally pass." And it did. So, yeah, my little goat.
While we're on that subject, have there been any serious medical issues or trips to the vet over her life?
Yeah, we had a cancer scare about 12 when she was 12. She's always been a little lumpy. She gets the fatty like lymphoma lumps. And I took her to the vet to get her teeth cleaned, actually. And I said, "Hey, while she's under, if you want to check any of these lumps and see if they need to come off, let's do it." And he called me and told me that she had cancer. I decided at that point, I said, she's 12 years old. The options were radiation or chemo, just like they do for humans. And I said, I'm not going to make her sick for whatever time she has left. So he took out whatever he could. He got halfway decent margins. And I've been just taking care of her ever since. And hey, she'll be 16 next year, next couple of months. So
excellent.
She's doing okay.
Yeah. Great.
We've had, she was attacked by a dog at the dog park. It was an emergency visit and surgery to clean out her wounds. And now she's dealing with, old dog stuff, the kidneys and the thyroid. And I give her fluids 3 times a week, IV fluids.
Okay.
So yeah, it's, at this point, it's just be grateful for the time we have. The vet said she's got she made the longevity. Now we just have to work on the quality of life.
Excellent.
So,
okay, let's rewind back a little bit again to when she was a young and adolescent and running free. So, Shep, any favorite walks or places to go when you took her out?
When I moved out to Las Vegas, we started hiking. And I never realized she really is like a mountain goat. When she was younger, I would let her off leash when we were out in the wilderness. And, I'd turn around, she'd be gone, and I'm about to panic. And then I hear her collar. She had literally scaled the mountain. And she was like a couple of 100 feet up before I even knew it. So yeah, she is always been a huge fan of hiking. And just, she loves to climb rocks. She loves to pee everywhere. I mean, come on, she's a dog. It's what they live for.
Ever had any interesting encounters with other wildlife on the trails?
That's a great question. I don't think so. We have been training though, like her entire life. Do you guys have Scooby-Doo over there?
Yeah, I know. We know what Scooby-Doo is, yeah.
So you know how like when they see something scary, like Scooby-Doo jumps into his owner's arms and then the owner jumps into somebody else's arms, Shaggy. That's what we do. I told her, if we ever see a snake, you jump into my arms and I'm going to jump into whoever's arms that we're hiking with. So no, she's actually, we've been pretty lucky out there because I know there are snakes. I think there's like mountain lions or something out here. And there's definitely coyotes and we've been pretty safe. Did get stuck in a hailstorm once.
Okay. That can be pretty traumatic.
That was traumatic for me. Yeah. There were no trees around and, there was like no shelter and I ended up just kind of, curling myself over her and using my body as a shield. And I had a lot of welts, but my baby was untouched, so it was worth it.
Absolutely. I know when I've been out with my girl Marley sometimes and it's been like raining, but when it gets really sort of like heavy, she'll run and stand between my legs, for that little bit of shelter than what there is. And it's like, it's not getting much, but I'll try my best.
Like, be an umbrella, Daddy, be an umbrella.
Nice. So, was there some, obviously likes the outdoors. Did you go on some extended sort of hikes as well?
We've done some pretty decent length hikes. Yeah, she is, even now, I have to say, even at, 15 and a half, whatever she is, she holds up pretty well. I don't let her climb anymore because she has a lot of arthritis and, weakness in her legs. But she loves to hike. If we do a flat path, she is happy to go for quite a while. So
excellent.
Yeah. So she's just fun. She's a good girl.
And has she had any sort of like hiking doggy buddies during different stages?
Oh, we have. Yeah. That's there have been a couple of friends along the way. Now we go hiking. My friend has what is he? He's like 80 pounds. He looks like a Ridgeback. Mm-hmm. So she's got one of those, and then she's got a pit bull dachshund mix.
Okay.
I'll give you a moment to figure that breed out. Yeah. So it's super short, but super stocky. And they're both under a year old. So we go out on the trail and those dogs are like, super excited and running back and forth. And she's just like, I'm conserving my energy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she loves it. She loves it. Any excuse to get outside.
Don't peak too soon. We're in for the long haul. You've got to settle down a little bit.
Exactly. Youngins.
Nice. So, how is she with the water?
Being in water, not a fan.
Not a fan?
Not a fan, no. I blame myself for this a little bit. Mm-hmm. When we first brought her home from the shelter, the first thing we did was bring her in for a bath. And I think she needed some time to adjust to being with us and to being in the apartment before we shoved her in there. But she is not a fan. She does not want to go in the pool or in the ocean. And I have a glass, sliding shower door. So I give her bath by myself. I take her into the shower and she presses her nose up against the glass door and just has this like, God help me, she's murdering me look the whole time. So not a fan of water. That part, maybe that part's more beagle, because I know labs are like huge water dogs. She didn't get that memo.
Mm-hmm. So they're doing any like particular like training, different sort of exercises, or just the standard-ish sort of stuff, or?
I mean, she trains me. Does that count?
More than often they usually do.
She was actually pretty trained before we moved to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
She was, nothing special, but sit and walk and, lay down and don't beg at the table. She had all of that down. And then after my divorce, we moved in with my dad and my stepmom out here with my parents. And grandma and grandpa completely undid that training. I would get phone calls while I was at work. Akasha had Cheerios for breakfast.
Nice. Yeah.
Why did that happen? And, oh, well, she, it's good for her heart. And I'm like, no. But yeah, she's trained to act as cleanup crew during cooking days.
Mm-hmm.
So she does a
task.
Very good job. Yeah. Yep. Very good at that. At this point, any training she had, she's decided she no longer needs. She's like, I'm old, I'm cranky, I don't feel well all the time, and I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. So, yeah, it really is. It's like, you know what? You are an old girl, like, do your thing.
Mm-hmm. So when she was younger, apart from the hiking, did she have any other favorite sort of activities?
Trying to think. When we moved out here, we did go to the dog park for a while until that incident. And she enjoyed that. She sounds like a hyena in the car. So I'm not entirely sure if she enjoys being in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure if it's an anxiety response or it's just excitement. But she sounds a little bit like a hyena.
Okay. And where does she sit in the car?
Wherever she wants. Yeah, she'll usually sit on the front seat, just long enough for the seat bell to ding, like to stop dinging.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it stops dinging, she'll go into the back seat and come back up front and do it again.
Okay.
So yeah, she's she does not like to sit down. So she's kind of like surfing the whole time. And yeah, she's fallen off the seat a few times.
Mm.
So.
But doesn't really mind the traveling that much, you don't think?
I don't think so. No, she's been in the car. She used to get car sick. So that was rough. But no, over the past couple of years, she's been fine. Most of the time, we're just either going to the park or we're going to grandma and grandpa's. So, or we're going to the rescue where I work. So she knows she's going to get a treat no matter where we go.
Okay.
So she's pretty happy.
So any sort of like holidays or vacation, like extended trips that you've taken up?
We've done a couple of like overnight camping trips. We've gone to visit like family and stuff like that. I've never taken her on a really long trip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how she would feel about that. Like, she likes her space.
Nice.
We did when I left my ex, my stepmom came out and we drove cross country to move me from, I was living in North Carolina at the time, to move me to Vegas. And it was me, my stepmom, and Akasha in a Corolla, a Toyota Corolla, loaded up with all of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove for 5 days We would drive for 8 hours and then stay in a hotel for the night and then continue on our way the next time. And she got a Benadryl every morning and some water, and then she didn't eat until dinner time because we knew it would just come right back up. But she did well, minus the whining and the trying to sit on my stepmom's chest. So she did okay. I'm not sure she's like the traveling type.
Okay. How was the initial transition when she moved to Vegas? Did you notice anything much or any change in behavior with her?
It was, I think the biggest challenge for her, two. One was going from peeing in grass to peeing in rocks, because most of it out here in Vegas is desert landscaping, as they call it. Mm-hmm. So that was like the first challenge. The second one was me going through a pretty severe depression and crying onto the dog at all times. So I like to say that she was getting a little bit moldy with how much I was like crying into her fur. But no, she's really been my rock through everything. She got me through that experience. And, I could feel after a couple of hours of being away from her, I needed to go home. I needed that support.
I think so often that's the case, that they provide so much more than even another human being can do.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been there through all of it, and I don't know how I would have made it through that whole experience without her.
Are you happy to talk a little bit more about that, or?
Oh yeah, it's fine. I'm an open book. I speak about that on stages all the time. So
I'd love to hear a little bit more about how she was able to help you during that time.
Mm-hmm. I think the first thing was, when my ex did a very bad thing, and I won't get into it because that's not the topic of this podcast. Mm-hmm. But, we had the discussion of who's going to take Akasha. And we had only had her, 2.5 years at that point. And that was not up for discussion. She was mine. She was coming with me. It was like, enjoy her for the next 4 days while I pack up my life, and then we're out. And just having that like non-judgmental, I know my friends, my family, they were always incredibly supportive. But there was, I don't know, it's almost like you always feel like they've got thoughts going on in the back of their head of, what happened. And she never had that. She was just there to cuddle and to get me out of the house, to exercise and to get fresh air. And just, didn't leave my side. We spent the first couple of weeks actually just in, my parents' spare bedroom because they had cats, and she'd never been around cats before. Mm-hmm. So, we took a while to introduce them. And when we finally did, I still kept her on a leash because there wasn't like a huge prey drive, but it was still like, I don't want her eating the cats. That's just, understandable. It's not a good plan. So I remember, we would sit on the couch and I would have her on the leash, and then I would fall asleep watching TV because that's what you do. And a cat would go by and she would go darting off the couch, only we were attached. So I would go flying with her. So there were definitely some adjustments to be had when we moved in. But my parents welcomed her with open arms. They, really did everything they could to make the two of us comfortable. And they knew I wasn't coming without her. Mm-hmm. So there was never that discussion of, where's the dog going to go? It was like, okay. She likes, when she was younger, she would tear at the wall at the door if she was left alone. So we put up some plexiglass on the door, and it was just like, okay, what do we need to do to make this home for them?
Nice.
Yeah. So it was good. It was good. She's been my rock.
So has she got any, or has she had different toys or favourite items that she likes to interact with?
That she doesn't rip to pieces in 30 seconds. She is pretty much over toys now, but I always tried to stick with like Kongs, just because they were so indestructible. And she's only like 28 pounds, but I had to buy the wolf Kongs, the big black ones that, like, you know, literally a wolf could chew on, and she would still eat them, but it would take a while. Squeaky toys, soft toys. Oh, here's a story for you. Hold on. Oh, the great stuffed animal massacre of 2009. I remember that. I had been collecting stuffed animals for about 6 months to donate to Toys for Tots for Christmas. Program that they do out here, you know, collecting toys for kids that need them. And I came home from work one day. I was still living with my parents, and my dad met me at the front door. And he is like, all right, Sheryl, Akasha did something, and I need you to be calm. And I remember, of course, you know, the first thought is always, oh my God, is the dog okay? And he said, no, she's fine. And we walked down the hallway to my bedroom, and it looked like a winter wonderland of stuffed animal guts. There was fluff everywhere. Like, and she like met us at the door to my bedroom, and she had like the fluff like hanging out the side of her mouth. And there were just these like lifeless eyes, just the googly eyes, just staring at me all from around the room. It was traumatizing. And I remember, you know, trying to hold in that anger. It had been an awful day at work. And I just, you know, through clenched teeth said, get her out of my room. And my dad scooped up the dog and ran. And I just sat you know, amongst all of the fluff, and I just cried.
One of my previous guests had a dog that used to do similar sort of things, and she called it his artwork.
Yes. Yes.
Theodore, and she's started his own Facebook artwork page.
Oh, nice.
to show his work.
I like that. That's awesome.
Oh dear. Adventures or interesting little stories that you can recall?
Yeah, you know, I think I want to give her credit for kind of sending my life in the direction it did. I've been working with an animal rescue for about 8 months now, but I've been volunteering with them for 5-6 years. When I was at that like really low point in the depression, my stepmom, you know, encouraged me to get out of the house and to go do something fun with Akasha. Because she needed some time out and she needed some doggy time. And we actually went to an event called, I think it was a Bark in the Park. It was either Bark in the Park or Petapalooza. And, you know, I figured she'll get to walk around, she'll get to sniff, and we'll try some treats and, you know, get out and get some sun. And it was there that I met a rescue called Foreclosed Upon Pets. And, you know, the more we talked, they were telling me this was 2008, which was the height of the housing crisis in the United States. And they told me that people were, they were walking away from their houses and they were leaving their animals behind. They were just abandoning them in these houses, and the bank was finding them. The realtors were finding them, you know, and I was so just horrified. Because, like, look, I went through, besides the depression and the divorce, I went through the foreclosure. I went through the bankruptcy. Like, I had that whole financial, fallout. But she was my rock through all of this. She was that support system. And the fact that anybody could leave their animal behind, never mind leave them behind without support, not just surrender them, but like leave them to die.
Absolutely.
I couldn't handle that. And it's actually what got me started in animal rescue. So, if it weren't for her, I love animals. I always have. But if it weren't for her being there for me the way she was, I don't know that I would have gotten into what I've done. And, it's a big part of my life now, being able to help other animals and to kind of be their voice.
And it's something I have heard previously that someone that's had a dog, that's actually shaped their profession and shaped their future.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned you took her and you take her into the rescue. So she works with you there? Unofficially?
She used to come in every once in a while. She's actually the reason that we set up the shoplifting bins. Because we have a pet supply store attached to the adoption center. So it's all one facility. And we sell, pet supplies at a discount, and the money goes into the rescue. And so I would take her and she would just help herself. She would pull things off the shelves. She would help herself to treats in the bins. And we decided at that point that it would be best to set up shoplifting bins. And so we put some treats and some stuffed toys in little bins around the store at dog height. And that was the decoy. So
nice. So you're actually encouraging the visiting dogs to sample.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You might as well, if you give them the direction, like, no, go here. Leave the stuff that has a price tag.
Yeah. Not that we're encouraging any shoplifting. Sampling is fine.
Just from the dogs. Yeah. The people, not okay.
Did she interact with any of the dogs in the shelter as well?
Yeah, she did. There was a couple of years there that she was not great with other dogs. After that attack at the dog park, I'm not even going to say she was never the same. I was never the same. And I know that, dogs pick up on our energy. And so I was always kind of nervous around other animals. And I think she picked up on that and, felt that she needed to protect me. So we had a couple little growly incidents. Nothing ever too severe. I've always kept her in a harness so that if anything was an issue, I could just lift her out of the situation. She's grown out of that. She's actually pretty cool. I brought a second dog into the house about 6 months ago now, and she's been pretty cool with him. And we go out with friends. She's just like, whatever. I'm over this. I'm too old to fight.
So how was the initial introduction when you brought the second dog into the house?
It was, I've brought home a couple of dogs over the years just for sleepovers and stuff. She was pretty good. She kind of, like I said, she goes off and does her own thing and likes to sleep in another room. So it was just kind of oh, this guy's here now? Okay. But I think she realized, because she hasn't been as cuddly as she's gotten older. And I think she realized that I needed that. So I feel like it was just kind of okay, he's here for mom and I'll put up with it. So they've been good. No issues. She does not really like to share her blanket. If he comes and lays down, she will get up and leave eventually. But yeah, they've been okay.
And what sort of dog is the number two?
He is a beagle, he is a Chihuahua Corgi mix. Okay. So he's about half her size. And also he's 8 years old. So I didn't get a, crazy puppy running around the house. Mm-hmm. So they're both pretty chill, and they do fine on walks and all that. And he understands she is the lady of the house and she will always be the number one. So he does pretty well with that.
That's excellent. So nice when there's that instant sort of click and understanding of who's who, and there's no challenges. Yeah. I'm happy with how they did. And, when I decided to keep him and make it a permanent foster fail, I had a conversation with her first and let her know, how do you feel about this? And she just walked away. So I figured it was okay. Excellent. And is you feel that he's sort of like being taught all the different sort of like house rules and what he can and can't do?
I think she's forgotten all the house rules. I don't have many other than like, please don't eat the furniture. He's good. He ate a turkey pan box yesterday. So I can't say that he's entirely good. So maybe she is teaching him something. And let's hope the stuffed animals never get killed again.
Once in a lifetime for that sort of level of violence is enough.
Destruction. I hope so. I really do hope so. That was rough to watch.
Wonderful. Do you want to give a little bit more of a formal little summary and some information about the shelter that you're working with?
Yeah, always happy to talk about that. It's called Hearts Alive Village, Las Vegas. We're about 6 years old, but over the past couple of years, we've had some really big expansions, which have been cool. So we've got our adoption center and our pet supply store. And then just this fall, just about a month ago, we opened the first nonprofit veterinary clinic in the state of Nevada. Right. So our biggest focus has always been kind of keeping pets in their original homes, because a lot of the animals that end up in the shelter, and people don't realize this, a lot of them, the families didn't actually want to get rid of them. They just didn't see any options. They couldn't afford vet treatment. They couldn't afford food. The dog or cat was, getting into things and destructive, and they didn't really see any other options. So here now, this poor animal ends up at the shelter. I mean, it's a traumatic experience, no matter how nice the shelter is.
Absolutely.
And we want to stop that. We want to keep them in their homes. And so we've got a pet food pantry, which was actually our first program. And now during these crazy COVID times, we've gone from feeding 300 pets in families to 5,000.
Wow, that is a huge, huge jump.
Yeah. There's that many people that cannot afford to take care of their animals right now. And thankfully, we've been able to help. And this veterinary clinic is really just the next step in that. So many families can't afford veterinary care. And, even the people that are doing okay, you get hit with a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bill for, a surgery or an illness or something. It can really throw you for a loop. So we provide affordable vet care. And some of the animals that come see us, they've never seen a vet before. They've never had vaccines. They've never gotten that care. Not because their families don't love them, just because they couldn't afford it. And, if you have to choose between that or feeding yourself. So this rescue, we're constantly growing, keeping animals out of the shelters, keeping them with their families where they belong. And we've saved I think the current number is about 4,330 animals that have been rescued through us. So that's not even counting the owner support.
That's wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Non-breed specific will help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
if anyone does want to help, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you? And I'll put that in the notes as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So our website is heartsalivevillage.org. You can also find us on Facebook, which I think is just HAVLV. But if you look up Hearts Alive, you'll find it. And yeah, obviously monetary donations are always huge. We've got an Amazon wish list. We always need supplies for the animals. And if you're local, come volunteer, come shop in our store. And everything you buy, you end up supporting our programs. So
that is absolutely fantastic stuff that you are doing. You. So it's so nice to hear, especially the veterinary part. And I think that's dramatically overlooked in a lot of places.
Yeah, it's huge. And I mean, any pet parent knows, you walk in and you're praying that your animal is okay, and you're praying that you're going to be able to afford what they need. Because so often the numbers are just crazy.
Yes, unfortunately in society and everywhere around the world, that it's one of those sort of things, I guess, that we have to all deal with.
Yeah.
Then again, it's a small price to pay for what they give us back in return.
Absolutely. The therapy bills alone, if I didn't have her.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some of the life of Akasha, and for opening and sharing some of your own sort of things with that as well.
Thank you.
It's really enjoyed having a chat with you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm always happy to talk about my babies.
Well, you take care. Hopefully we'll catch up sometime soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd really appreciate you telling a friend and sharing in the experience. Also, if you want to leave a review on whatever platform you're listening to this on, would also be appreciated. Until next week, stay safe, and remember, your dog is family.